going on, everybody? As you can see, there's a massive box here in my kitchen counter. This is something I debated for years, literally years before getting. It is a custom made, well, I guess it's limited to 1,000 Trex 110 scale from Studio Oxmox from Australia. So the reason I debated is just because A, it's freaking massive. As you can see, the box is ridiculously big. B, it's just, it's not cheap. This bad boy runs you about, they have different versions. I went with obviously the one with the superior paint job, the tuned or earth vision version. They do have a more basic version that's a lot cheaper, but I wanted to get the best. If I'm gonna spend all this money, get a T-Rex, I want it freaking the best. So there's a massive box in here. I have to get this bad boy out. So yeah, the regular version runs like $550. The tuned version runs around $700. The worst part is frickin' shipping. This thing costs literally a ton to frickin' ship because it's so massive. And it comes from frickin' Australia. God, that thing's heavy. Kind of cool they did include this actual art print box, which looks pretty nice. This massive box. So I got number 40 of 950. And there is instructions here on how to go ahead and assemble this bad boy. So need to figure out best method to get this out of box. Luckily it's not too tight in the box, so I should be able to just pull this styrofoam right out. Literally weighs about 50 pounds. Not a joke. So anyways, the reason I did eventually get this, I saw Jurassic World. That movie's freaking awesome. And I really wanted to get a cool T-Rex. So I debated this one, but I'm like, it's like $1,000 ships. I'm like, more like $1,100 actually. So I'm like, that's just a lot of effing money. So I, delayed and delayed. Eventually, Sideshow came out with their T-Rex, which, if you saw one of my previous videos I did get, it's a great statue, don't get me wrong. It's just a little on the small side. So this thing actually gets bolted in. Look at that. Accessories here. Yeah, there is bolts in the legs. That's crazy. I don't know if I've seen a statue that requires literally to be bolted in. I'm gonna need to get some tools for this. They included some tools to, I guess, screw this bad boy in, bolt him in. Gosh, I hope I have the tool to do this. The base is not too heavy. can see. Nothing really on the bottom. I'm wondering if I could just do this by hand, actually. I may be able to. I actually think I could. Yeah, this base is definitely a lot lighter than one would think. So this does include a dead dinosaur on the actual base itself. I'm not sure what type of dinosaur that is. Then here is a little Velociraptor. You can see it's been bitten by the T-Rex. It's supposed to go in its mouth. Looks like it's about to die. You know, if you look at its eyes, it looks like it's about to die. Nice, good detail, good paint job. So I'll just put that here to the side. This T-Rex is definitely freaking big just looking at him. Definitely gonna satisfy that T-Rex craving I've been having. Here's the other Velociraptor. He does go in the base. Set him up later though. Next is, and I'm just going to remove the tail. The tail does come in two pieces. It's unfortunate to have a tail come in two pieces because then you can see where it connects. However, with this being so long and massive, it would just be, I think, too hard to not have them displayed in two pieces. So, as you can see, it just looks like it connects in. As you can see how long that is, you know, that's a good 18 inches right there. This is actually not quite as heavy as one would think. It only weighs, I would say, 15 pounds, if I was to guess. I think it's probably just hollow inside, that's why. So, need to bolt this bad boy in, which I need to tackle this method. I'll be back. Okay, everybody, I got this bad boy bolted in. Let's go ahead and put his tail on. I assume it just goes like this. There we go. That is in. As you can see, massive, massive tail. Next is the Velociraptor right here. Ingat ka.
Ganda.
What the devil? Okay, I believe that's correct. This thing definitely has a massive tail. Let's look at the inside of him. Some nice blood. So I guess I can just insert this. Forget how it looks. I'm gonna set it up downstairs so I can finish it. I'll have to look at pictures to see how this final Velociraptor goes, but as you can see, just looking at pure size, it's humongous. No, for a size comparison, there's a tissue box. You know, it's there's my hand next to the face. Very, very big. Very cool. Let's go ahead and put this downstairs. Okay, everybody, I do got the Oxmox 110 scale T-Rex all set up here. This is on top of my little 50-inch stuvas, and I knew this would fit. The way I have this displayed, as you can see, you know, his base takes up a little bit more than an entire stuva, which is fine. And then I allowed space to where the T-Rex tail can go behind the King Kong setup. So here it is, 110 scale. Let's go ahead and do a review of this piece. If you look at the scale compared to the V-Rex, the V-Rex is probably a 112 scale maybe, or 115. Definitely between 112 and 115. And then the bust back there is probably a 1/8 scale. But this T-Rex is super long. As I said, it's not too heavy. You know, every component is not too heavy. That just tells me that they made it hollow. So as you can see here in the base, they put black Buster with a little T-Rex. I actually do like that. It's pretty cool. And then at Studio Oxmox. Just looking at it, I mean, I did notice a few little tidbits. Look at that right there. That looks like some sort of chip. So quite annoying considering that is visible in the front. You know, I could potentially sort of paint that, but when the paint color is off, it will look weird. So, you know, you can definitely notice that from the front angle, which is quite hasslesome. So I may request a small refund for that. So in general, let's just look at the base. So you got this dead dinosaur here. It looks like he was, you know, bleeding from the ears, bit in the neck. You know, it looks like he was being eaten. My guess is he was eaten by the Velociraptors. You know, they were basically eating his stomach. They chewed him right there. Probably killed him at the neck. Bit him right there in this fight. And, you know, tore his tail. So they probably tag teamed, defeated this dinosaur. As they were defeating him and eating him, basically, as you can see, the Velociraptor has blood in its mouth from eating the other dinosaur. The T-Rex comes up and decides it's time for him to have lunch. And so he comes up and basically just eats that Velociraptor up in one bite. So the base is pretty cool. You know, it just looks, you know, like a, you know, you see trees. It's mostly one color. I mean, I definitely think there could be more color variation. It's, you know, it's like, don't get me wrong, this piece is super cool, but I'm all about there's room for improvement. If I was to change anything, I would make this dinosaur more prominent, different color than the base, and have the base be more colorful, because there's only a few different color shades on this base. You know, it is a good base overall. I just think it could be more colorful. The Velociraptor does look good. You know, as you can see, the paint job, the sculpt is solid. Those eyes could be painted better. They're basically just like black. I think they should be painted more like that right there. So it's kind of disappointing they didn't paint that eye better. I think in general the eyes aren't painted too good. Everything else is painted good. The eyes and then the base color. Those are my two biggest flaws with this. I mean, obviously it could weigh more, but then if it weighed more, it probably wouldn't be able to be in this dynamic pose where, you know, it's just attached to here and then, you know. So with the way I have it set up, this is where the tail connects. It's, you know, it's can't really notice because it looks like they tried to blend the dark sort of like stripes onto it. So they did a good job of hiding that. And the actual T-Rex, you know, does have a lot of detail that went into him. Looks like as well another chip right there actually. So 2 paint chips as I can see, as well as that's so far the damage I see. One other thing I would notate is this eye, very poorly painted and almost chipped. Now that's a very poor painted eye job. Could definitely be, you know, lots of room for improvement. Let's go ahead and back up here. I mean, the actual T-Rex color is great. Better than the Sideshow T-Rex. The size is good. The overall pose is pretty sweet looking. You know, they're creating a whole scene here. You know, with the overall, you have 4 dinosaurs technically. You know, the one dead one, 2 Velociraptors, and a giant T-Rex. So I love the overall scene. I just think, you know, he could have did a little bit better paint job as well as these chips. I'm gonna have to request a small refund for that. So, you know, I just don't tolerate getting damaged statues. I mean, pay $1,000, I expect a freaking solid statue. This eye does look a little bit better. I think it'd look a lot better if they used acrylic eyes. You know, if you look at that eye, you know, on a 1/10 scale, that should be pretty easy to paint. Then you look at this eye, much smaller, but it looks a lot better. Has more of a gloss look. They should have made this more glossy, that eye. In the pictures they sent me, you know, the blood on the T-Rex mouth and everything was super glossy. Not near as glossy here. You know, there's a little bit of gloss right there to make that look bloody. Probably more so in the camera than in person. You know, without the light, it doesn't look too glossy. The only part that looks glossy is this right here, and it better be, because, you know, that thing was just freaking eaten, as you can see. I mean, you can see the ribs, the guts, the intestines. I think the overall sculpt is really good. Just a few small flaws in the paint job. So that's my only complaint. As you can see, you know, lots of detail gone into the T-Rex itself. Definitely has a solid sculpt. If you wanted to, technically you could just display the other Velociraptor on the base instead of in the mouth, you know, just because it could potentially fall out. You know, if something shook, that could potentially fall out. So I could display him, you know, just leaning up against here. Somehow I saw another guy do that. Let's get a further back look. For now, I'll display it in the mouth. And, you know, if I feel like it's going to fall, I'll display it on the ground. But I think it's cool how he's eating it. Overall, it's definitely a really cool statue. I'm definitely going to request a small refund for the sloppy paint job in the eyes as well as the 2 paint chips. We'll see what they give. I haven't worked with this company before, so I don't know, you know, how they work that. But I mean, it definitely is, you know, pretty massive and really cool. So I mean, if you're a huge T-Rex fan, this is definitely an option you have. I know Chronicles is making a bunch of Jurassic Park stuff, but for the life of me, they're the slowest company out there. I mean, come on. They promised the endoskeleton August last year. Still, they haven't even finished one production to show us. Like a production sample. It's freaking ridiculously retarded how slow they are. And they're not cheap. You know, so I figured they're about to come out with a Breakout Rex, which is a 1/20 scale, so half the size of that, which to me is just way too freaking small. It's smaller than the Sideshow one. That thing will probably cost $650. So, I mean, screw you, Chronicle. I'm not paying that much for a little tiny 1/10 scale. I could get this beast incarnate. Sure, it's not directly related to Jurassic Park, but there was a scene where he did eat the T-Rex in the first, he went against 2 Velociraptors in the first movie. So this is definitely good enough to satisfy my Jurassic Park dinosaur want. That's basically it. If I was to rate this statue, for what I received, 7 out of 10. If it was a better paint job and no chips, probably a 9 out of 10. It's just a shame, you know, I have 2 chips that are visible in the front and then the sloppy paint job. At least the T-Rex eye that's bad is in the back, so I'll literally never see it, and that eye is not too horrendous. I just wish it was a little more glossy and looked more realistic. But, you know, if you compared it to that poster up there, you know, look at that eye. And then look at that eye. They look virtually the same almost. So I'll take it. Definitely a cool statue though. The box is going to be a pain to store in my garage, I can say that. But hope you enjoyed this short 10-minute video on the T-Rex. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day.